Captain Jimin Park sat at her station in the quiet underground bunker of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters. The clock on the wall showed 3:27 a.m., but she didn't mind the late shift. The soft hum of computers and occasional beeps from monitoring equipment kept her company as she sipped her third cup of coffee. Another quiet night watching the stars, she mumbled to herself, adjusting some settings on her deep space monitoring equipment. Then something changed. A pattern appeared on her screen, something she had never seen before. At first, she thought it was just random space noise, maybe radiation from a distant pulsar or a glitch in the system. But the pattern repeated, and then repeated again. "Hey, Dong-A," she called to her colleague across the room. "Come look at this." Dong-A walked over, leaning to look at her screen. His eyes widened. That's not natural. For the next week, Park barely left the monitoring station. Her team grew from 2 people to 20, as word spread through the UEDF about the unusual signal. The best code breakers and communication experts from around the world joined them, working around the clock to understand what they were seeing. "It's definitely a message," said Dr. Minho, the head linguist brought in from Seoul University. "The mathematical patterns are too precise to be random. Whatever is sending this knows exactly what they're doing." On day 9, they had their breakthrough. The team cheered as the first translated words appeared on the main screen. "Prepare for assessment and integration." The celebration didn't last long. Nobody knew exactly what those words meant, but they didn't sound friendly. Within hours, the president of the United Earth Council called an emergency meeting. Park found herself sitting at a large table with military generals, scientists, and world leaders, explaining what her team had discovered. "We believe the message is coming from somewhere near Jupiter's orbit," she explained, pointing to a star chart. "But there's nothing out there that could—" An aide burst into the room, face pale. "Madam President, we're picking up massive objects entering the solar system. Hundreds of them, all bigger than anything we've ever put in space." The room fell. Silent. Satellite images soon showed what they were dealing with. Massive ships, some the size of small moons, slowed as they approached the outer planets. Their designs were strange. Flowing shapes with no sharp edges, surfaces that seemed to shift color depending on the angle of light. News spread quickly, despite government efforts to keep things quiet. People around the world watched the skies, some in fear, others in wonder. Religious groups claimed it was the end times. Scientists demanded access to any information available, and military forces worldwide went on high alert. "What do they want?" the president asked during another emergency meeting 3 days later. As if answering her question, communication systems worldwide received a new message, this one clearer and in perfect English. "We are the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been selected for assessment and integration into our empire. Resistance is unnecessary and inadvisable. All previously discovered species have accepted our leadership without incident." Park's team worked day and night analyzing everything they could about the visitors. "They've done this before," she reported to the council. "The message suggests they have a standard procedure for finding and absorbing new civilizations. When the alien fleet stationed itself just beyond the moon, global panic nearly erupted. But the visitors made no aggressive moves. Instead, they sent a smaller ship toward Earth, requesting permission to land. "They expect us to simply give in," Park said during the debate about whether to allow the landing. "Every signal they've sent assumes we'll just accept whatever they want." The council finally agreed to permit a diplomatic meeting on neutral ground. A landing zone was prepared in an uninhabited area of Switzerland, far from major population centers. Military forces from all major nations surrounded the area, though everyone knew their weapons would likely be useless if the aliens decided to attack. Park watched from the command center as the alien ship descended. Unlike their larger vessels, this one was small and elegant, gliding down without any visible propulsion system. It landed softly on the prepared pad, and for several minutes, nothing happened. Then a door appeared in what had seemed like solid metal, and the first representatives of the Galactic Hegemony stepped onto Earth. They looked almost human, 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head, but their skin had a bluish tint and their eyes were much larger than any humans. They wore simple white clothing that seemed to flow like liquid with their movements. Park and other officials watched on screens as Earth's diplomatic team greeted the visitors. The alien at the front, who introduced himself as Tae-hyun, smiled, in a way that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Your world is quite beautiful," he said in perfect English. "We look forward to adding your cultural and biological uniqueness to our collection. The integration process will begin immediately." None of Earth's leaders liked the sound of that. What exactly did integration mean? And why did it sound less like an invitation and more like an order? The galactic hegemony had arrived, and they clearly expected Earth to just fall in line like every other planet they had encountered before. But humanity had never been good at following orders from strangers. Park stared at the alien visitors on her screen and whispered, "They have no idea what they're getting themselves into." Imperial Ambassador Tae-hyun stepped off his shuttle onto Swiss soil with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. The delegation behind him moved with perfect coordination, like dancers who had performed the same routine countless times. 6 days had passed since the first contact, and Earth's leaders had finally agreed to formal talks. The landing area in Geneva had been transformed into a makeshift diplomatic zone. Flags from every nation fluttered in the spring breeze. Crews from global news networks jostled for position behind security barriers, each hoping to capture the historic moment when humanity officially met its first alien visitors. "Ambassador Tae-hyun, welcome to Earth," said Secretary General Adama, extending his hand in greeting. He was a tall man with deep lines etched into his face from decades of diplomatic service. Today, those lines seemed deeper than ever. Tae-hyun looked at the outstretched hand for a moment before taking it. His skin felt oddly cool to the touch. "Secretary General, I am pleased to finally meet in person. Your world is quite beautiful from orbit, even more so up close." The initial meetings went smoothly. Tae-hyun and his delegation were unfailingly polite, expressing interest in Earth culture and asking thoughtful questions about human history. They shared small details about their own civilization. Their homeworld orbited a star 87 light-years from Earth. They had mastered faster-than-light travel 3,000 years ago, and they had peacefully incorporated over 600 different species into their empire. "The galactic hegemony brings stability and advancement to all worlds under our protection," Tae-hyun explained during a public address that was broadcast worldwide. "We look forward to sharing our knowledge and technology with humanity, world." Leaders were cautiously optimistic. Stock markets soared as companies anticipated access to advanced alien technology. Religious leaders debated the theological implications of intelligent alien life. Ordinary people celebrated in the streets, seeing the arrival as the dawn of a new era for humanity. But on the third day of negotiations, everything changed. In a private meeting with the UN Security Council and other key world leaders, Tae-hyun's demeanor transformed completely. Gone was the friendly diplomat. In his place sat a cold, calculating administrator. "Now that the public pleasantries are complete," Tae-hyun said, his voice suddenly flat, "we can discuss the actual terms of Earth's integration." He activated a small device on the table, projecting a holographic document in mid-air. "This is the standard integration protocol. All worlds joining the hegemony agree to these terms." As Adama read through the document, his face darkened. "This isn't an alliance. This is a surrender." Tae-hyun didn't bother denying it. "The terms are quite generous, I assure you. Many worlds receive far less favorable conditions." The demands were staggering. Earth would immediately surrender control of 40% of its natural resources, including rare metals and freshwater reserves. All military forces would be dissolved and replaced with a small planetary security force answerable to hegemony commanders. Most shocking was the population quota, requiring Earth to provide 10 million humans annually for labor allocation throughout the empire. "This is slavery," President Kang said, slamming her fist on the table. "We will never agree to this." "Oh, you misunderstand," Tae-hyun replied calmly. "This is not a negotiation. These are the terms of your integration. All species we encounter eventually accept them." Adama leaned forward. "Ambassador, perhaps there's room for discussion. Surely, we can find middle ground that benefits both our peoples." For the first time, Tae-hyun laughed. The sound was hollow, like someone who had learned about laughter from a textbook. but never experienced joy. You still don't understand your position. Let me be clear, you have no leverage. Our fleet carries enough firepower to reduce your cities to ash. Your most advanced weapons cannot even penetrate the shields on our smallest vessels. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the peaceful Swiss landscape. We've been observing Earth for decades. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your divisions. If you resist, we will simply take what we want anyway, but with far greater casualties on your side. The room fell silent as the full reality of the situation sank in. Humanity wasn't being invited to join a peaceful galactic community. They were being conquered by an empire that had perfected the art of subjugation over thousands of years. "How long do we have to decide?" Adama asked quietly. 72 hours, Taehyun replied. "After that, we begin resource extraction, whether you cooperate or not." He turned to face the assembled leaders. "I suggest you use this time to prepare your populations. Those who embrace integration suffer far less than those who resist." As the meeting ended, Taehyun paused at the door. "One more thing. We've detected unusual communications between your military installations since our arrival. Any attempt to mount a coordinated attack against our ships will result in immediate and overwhelming retaliation. For your people's sake, I hope you make the rational choice." After he left, the world leaders sat in stunned silence. President Kang was the first to speak. "We need to contact Captain Park immediately. Tell her it's time for Plan B." Adama nodded grimly. "And pray that it works. Because if what Taehyun says is true, we're dealing with a power unlike anything humanity has ever faced." Outside the room, people continued their daily lives, blissfully unaware that their future was being decided by alien visitors who saw them as nothing more than resources to be harvested. The galactic hegemony had come not as friends but as conquerors, and they expected Earth to submit without a fight. They clearly didn't know humans very well. The world leaders filed out of the emergency meeting, their faces grim. Secretary General. Adama's hands shook slightly as he reached for his secure phone. "Get me Dr. Hyun," he said to his aide, "and tell her it's time." While the diplomats kept Taehyun and his delegation occupied with endless questions, document reviews, and ceremonial dinners, the real work was happening deep underground in research facilities across the globe. The moment the alien ships had appeared in orbit, a secret protocol had been activated, one that had existed on paper for decades, but which no one ever truly expected to use. Dr. Minji Hyun hadn't slept properly in days. The lead scientist at South Korea's Advanced Physics Institute had been analyzing the alien communication signals since first contact. Her lab, once a tidy space of gleaming equipment and organized workstations, now looked like a disaster zone, coffee cups everywhere, whiteboards covered in complex equations, and exhausted researchers slumped over computers. "They're making a mistake," she muttered to herself as she studied the latest readings. "A fundamental mistake." The call from the Secretary General confirmed what she already knew. They were running out of time. She gathered her team around the central table. "Listen up," she said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "We've got 72 hours before they start their invasion. Everything we've been working on needs to be ready by then." Her second-in-command, Dr. Taiho, looked doubtful, "But the simulations still show only an 83% success rate. We need more time." "We don't have more time," Hyun replied. "Besides, 83% is better odds than 0. What Dr. Hyun had discovered was both simple and brilliant. The aliens' technology, for all its advancement, relied on a form of quantum communication that had a critical vulnerability. Their systems were designed to work in specific electromagnetic environments common throughout the galaxy. But Earth was different. Our planet's unique magnetic field, combined with unusual solar radiation patterns in our system, created conditions the aliens hadn't properly accounted for. "They think we're primitive," Hyun explained to military leaders on a secure call, "but they don't understand that sometimes being different is an advantage. Their systems weren't built for Earth's environment. We can use that." Across the planet, ordinary people remained unaware of the true danger. News channels showed the ongoing diplomatic talks, experts debated the potential benefits of alien technology, and social media buzzed with alien memes. But in secret facilities, soldiers trained on newly designed weapons, engineers built specialized transmitters, and programmers wrote code that could interfere with alien systems. Captain Jimin Park, now promoted to lead Earth's unified defense strategy, coordinated these global efforts from a command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. "The key is synchronization," she told her international team of officers. "Every major city, every military installation, every satellite we still control, they all need to activate simultaneously. If we don't hit them everywhere at once, this won't work." The plan was audacious. Using Earth's natural electromagnetic field as an amplifier, they would create a cascading disruption in the aliens' quantum communication network. Without their instant communication capabilities, the hegemony ships would be temporarily isolated from each other, unable to coordinate a response. In Geneva, Ambassador Tae-hyun grew suspicious of the diplomatic delays. During what was supposed to be a cultural exchange dinner, he suddenly stood up. "This charade has gone on long enough," he announced. "Your attempts to stall are transparent and futile. We detect unusual energy readings from your military installations. Worldwide, any aggressive action will be met with immediate orbital strikes." Secretary General Adama remained calm. "Ambassador, I assure you we're simply being thorough in our review of your integration protocol. As for the energy readings, we've increased power to our communication networks to better inform our people about these historic developments." Tae-hyun wasn't convinced. "You have 24 hours to sign the integration document, not 72 as previously stated. My patience has limits." As soon as the aliens left, Adama made a single call. "They know something's up. We need to move now." Dr. Hyun received the message while making final adjustments to the main transmitter array. "It's not perfect," she told her team, "but it's our only shot." The countdown began. Military commanders worldwide received their activation codes. Civilian power plants diverted extra energy to the defense grid. Hospital generators were brought online in case of power failures. And ordinary citizens, finally informed of the true threat through emergency broadcasts, prepared for possible attack. In orbit, Tae-hyun returned to the command ship and ordered preparation for limited corrective strikes on key Earth military installations. "These humans require a demonstration of our power," he told his officers. "Select 3 targets, no more than 10,000 casualties each. That should ensure their cooperation." What happened next would be remembered as humanity's finest hour, at tea. Exactly 3:17 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, every transmitter on the planet activated simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across the alien fleet, systems began failing. Communication channels filled with static. Navigation computers displayed contradictory information. Weapons targeting systems showed thousands of false readings. "What is happening?" Tae-hyun demanded, as his command ship's lights flickered. His technology officer looked bewildered. "Unknown, Ambassador. We're experiencing quantum field distortions. Unlike anything in our records, our ships cannot communicate with each other and half our systems are offline." On Earth, Captain Park watched the sensor readings with tense anticipation. "It's working," she whispered as alien ship after alien ship reported system failures. "They're blind." Phase 2 began immediately. Earth's remaining operational satellites and defense systems targeted the now vulnerable alien ships with precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses, not to destroy them, but to further disrupt their technology. "We don't need to beat them in a traditional battle," Dr. Hyun had explained during planning. "We just need to show them that conquering Earth would cost too much, even for them." By dawn, the situation had completely reversed. The aliens, used to quick and effortless conquests, found themselves unable to launch their planned strikes. Their mighty warships drifted in disorganized formations, unable to coordinate actions or even communicate effectively with their home fleet. Secretary General Adama sent a simple message to the command ship. "Ambassador Tae-hyun, we invite you to continue our discussions. Earth remains open to peaceful relations, but not to subjugation. Perhaps we should talk about a genuine alliance instead." Hours passed before a response came. When Tae-hyun finally appeared on the video screen, his usual composure was gone. "How did you do this?" he asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Adama smiled. Perhaps you underestimated humans. We may not have your technology, but we are resourceful, creative, and extremely determined when threatened. Now shall we discuss terms that benefit both our peoples? For the first time in its long history, the galactic hegemony had met a species that refused to be conquered. And deep in her lab, Dr. Hyun smiled as she watched the news. Sometimes, she said to no one in particular, being different is our greatest strength. The sky above Seoul turned an eerie purple as 30 hegemony dropships pushed through Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek silver hulls gleamed in the morning sun as they descended toward the city in perfect formation. On the ground, people watched with a mixture of terror and awe. Many had already evacuated to underground shelters, but some remained, either trapped or too stubborn to leave their homes. "They're coming in fast," Lieutenant Do-hyun reported, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. 12 minutes until they reached the primary landing zone. Captain Jimin Park nodded, her face calm despite the mounting pressure. The command bunker, buried deep beneath the Korean mountains, hummed with activity as military personnel from a dozen nations coordinated humanity's response. "Is the electromagnetic field at full strength?" she asked. "Yes, Captain. Dr. Hyun confirms all transmitters are operating at maximum capacity." Park allowed herself a small smile. "Then let's welcome our uninvited guests." Ambassador Tae-hyun had made his decision after the failed negotiations. The humans' refusal to accept integration could not be tolerated. Such defiance might spread to other worlds if left unchecked. The Hegemony Council had authorized a full subjugation protocol, a swift, overwhelming show of force designed to crush any resistance and bring the planet to its knees within hours. "Commence landing operations," Tae-hyun ordered from his command. "Ship, deploy ground forces to secure the major population centers. Minimal casualties if possible, but establish dominance quickly." His second-in-command, Commander Danal, looked concerned. "The disruption to our communications is still ongoing. Perhaps we should delay until—" "No delays," Tae-hyun snapped. "These primitives have simple technology. Their interference is a minor inconvenience at best. Proceed as planned." The dropships continued their descent, now just minutes from touchdown. Inside, Hegemony soldiers checked their weapons, sleek energy rifles that could stun or kill depending on the setting. They had done this hundreds of times on other worlds. None expected any real challenge from the humans. In the command bunker, Park watched the incoming ships on her display. "Activate countermeasures now," she ordered. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Across Seoul, hidden transmitters powered up, sending precisely calibrated signals that interacted with Earth's unique electromagnetic field. The invisible wave of energy washed over the descending alien ships like a tsunami. Aboard the lead dropship, alarms suddenly blared. Navigation systems flickered and died. Weapon systems reported critical failures. Most importantly, the neural link that connected all hegemony forces, the hive mind that allowed them to function as a perfect coordinated unit, dissolved into static. "What's happening?" a soldier demanded, ripping off his neural interface. Helmet as it began sending painful feedback into his brain. The pilot fought with unresponsive controls as the ship lurched sideways. "We've lost guidance, switching to manual landing procedures." But the hegemony forces hadn't used manual controls in generations. Their entire military structure depended on their advanced technology and neural connections. Without them, the perfectly coordinated invasion force transformed into confused, isolated individuals with malfunctioning equipment. The lead dropship crashed into an empty sports stadium, skidding across the field before coming to a smoking halt. Others fared worse, veering wildly off course. Some managed emergency landings in parks or wide avenues. Several crashed into the Han River, their crews scrambling to escape the sinking vessels. From his command ship, Tae-hyun watched in disbelief as the invasion force disintegrated before his eyes. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Restore communications. Immediately." "We cannot, Ambassador," his technology officer replied, genuine fear in his voice. "Something about this planet's electromagnetic field. It's like nothing we've encountered before. Our systems weren't designed for these conditions." On the ground, the hegemony soldiers who had managed to land found themselves in an even worse situation. Without their neural network, they couldn't communicate or coordinate. Their weapons, dependent on the same technology, functioned erratically or not at all, and they faced a human resistance that had prepared specifically for this moment. "Move in now," Captain Park ordered, and human forces emerged from hidden positions throughout the city. Instead of directly attacking the stranded aliens, the human soldiers deployed a new weapon, portable versions of Dr. Hyun's disruptors that could knock out remaining alien technology at close range. Teams of engineers followed, ready to secure and study any intact alien equipment. In New York, London, Beijing, and cities worldwide, the same scene played out. The expected swift conquest had turned into a humiliating defeat for the hegemony forces. By nightfall, hundreds of alien soldiers had been captured and dozens of damaged dropships secured. Most importantly, a special team led by Dr. Hyun herself had captured an intact hegemony command shuttle with its computers still operational. "This is beyond anything we could have hoped for," she said as she examined the alien technology. "Their database contains technical specifications, strategic information. With this, we can develop even better countermeasures." In orbit, Taehyun faced the unthinkable, the first military defeat in his long career. The hegemony had conquered over 600 worlds without a single significant setback. Now a supposedly primitive species had not only resisted, but captured valuable imperial technology and personnel. "We must launch orbital strikes," Commander Danol suggested. "Reduce their major cities to ash." Taehyun considered this but shook his head. "Our targeting systems are compromised by the same interference. We might miss completely or hit our own captured forces." He paced the command deck, struggling with a decision. "Order all remaining ships to withdraw beyond the disruption field. We need to regroup and reconsider our approach." The retreat was as chaotic as the invasion. Several ships, attempting to leave Earth's atmosphere, experienced power fluctuations that sent them spiraling off course. Those that made it back to the main fleet carried a message that would shock the entire hegemony. Earth would not be conquered, easily if at all. In the following days, humanity celebrated its unexpected victory, but Captain Park and the other leaders knew this was just the beginning. "They'll be back," she told the United Earth Council during an emergency session, "and next time they'll be better prepared for our defenses." Dr. Hyun agreed, but held up a small device recovered from the alien shuttle. "So will we. Their technology is advanced, but not incomprehensible. Given time, we can adapt it, improve our own capabilities." Secretary General Adama looked around the table at the representatives of a newly united humanity. For 30,000 years, the hegemony has expanded unchallenged. Today, that changed. Today, Earth said, "Access denied." As night fell over, a planet still coming to terms with its place in a larger, more dangerous universe, urgent messages traveled between the retreating hegemony ships and their distant homeworld. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they needed to report a failure and request reinforcements. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were unlike any species they had encountered before, and Captain Park, watching the alien ships retreat from Earth orbit, allowed herself a moment of fierce pride. The battle was won, but the war had just begun. Morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows of the United Earth Defense Headquarters in Geneva as Captain Jimin Park reviewed the latest sensor readings. The large display showed what everyone had been expecting for months. A massive fleet of hegemony ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system, just beyond Pluto's orbit. "How many?" asked Secretary General Adama, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. 127 vessels, Park replied, at least 3 times the size of the previous force. The room fell silent. For 6 months, Earth had been preparing for this moment. Using the captured alien technology, Dr. Hyun and her international team of scientists had made remarkable progress. They'd improved the planetary defense system, reverse-engineered some of the simpler alien devices, and most importantly, learned to decode hegemony communications. "They're just sitting there," said General Kwon, squinting at the display. "No," Movement toward Earth. No sign of aggressive positioning. As if on cue, a young communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel. It's different from their previous communications." "Put it through," Adama ordered. The main screen flickered, and a new face appeared. Not Tae-hyun, but an older alien with elaborate markings on his blue-tinted skin. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Chancellor Razan of the Galactic Hegemony Council. We request permission to enter your solar system with diplomatic vessels only. We come to talk, not to conquer." Eyes turned to Adama, who took a moment before responding. "High Chancellor, this is Secretary General Adama of the United Earth Council. Your previous representative made similar claims of peaceful intentions before attempting to subjugate our world. Why should we believe you now?" The alien nodded slowly, as if expecting this question. "Because circumstances have changed, Secretary General, we have much to discuss." After the transmission ended, Earth's leaders debated for hours. Military advisors urged caution, diplomats saw an opportunity, and scientists were curious about what had prompted this apparent change in approach. "I think we should hear them out," Dr. Hun said finally. "But on our terms, not theirs." 2 days later, a single hegemony ship, escorted by Earth's newly commissioned space defense vessels, landed at the same Swiss location where Tae-hyun had first arrived. The security was much heavier this time, with Dr. Hyun's disruption technology positioned to activate at the first sign of trouble. High Chancellor Razan emerged with a small delegation. Unlike the previous group's arrogance, these aliens seemed genuinely respectful, even somewhat humbled. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," Razan said once they were seated in the conference room. "What I am about to share will explain our change." In approach, he activated a holographic display showing 3 different star systems. "After your world successfully repelled our integration force, knowledge of this unprecedented event spread throughout the Empire. 3 other worlds that were in the process of integration, here, and here, suddenly developed similar resistance methods." The hologram showed alien ships experiencing the same problems they had faced at Earth: communication failures, navigation errors, and system crashes. "Your defense strategy was adapted by these worlds," Razan continued. "All 3 repelled our forces just as Earth did." Captain Park leaned forward. "You're saying other planets copied our techniques?" "Precisely. More concerning for us, dozens of already integrated worlds are showing signs of potential uprising. For the first time in 30,000 years, the hegemony faces a genuine crisis." The revelation stunned the human delegation. They had been so focused on defending Earth that they hadn't considered the wider implications of their success. "So why come here?" Adama asked. "Why not simply develop countermeasures to our defense system?" Razan's expression changed subtly, the alien equivalent of a rueful smile. "We tried. For 6 months, our best scientists worked to overcome your electromagnetic disruption technique. But there's something unique about your approach. It's unpredictable, adaptive, almost intuitive. Our highly structured systems cannot easily counter it." Dr. Hyun couldn't help feeling a surge of pride. Her team's work had stood up against the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. "After much debate," Razan continued, "the Council has reached a conclusion that would have been unthinkable a year ago. The age of forced integration must end. We propose a new relationship with Earth, not as rulers and subjects, but as allies and partners." The discussions continued for weeks. Earth's representatives, initially skeptical, gradually realized the hegemony was sincere. Their society, for all its technological advancement, had become rigid and hierarchical. They had forgotten how to adapt, how to innovate, skills that humans possessed in abundance. 3 months later, Captain Park found herself in a place no human had ever been, the Galactic Council chamber on the hegemony homeworld. The vast, circular room contained representatives from hundreds of worlds, many viewing humans with a mixture of curiosity and newfound respect. High Chancellor Razan addressed the assembly. "Today marks the beginning of a transformed hegemony. The addition of Earth to our alliance, as equals not subjects, represents a fundamental change in how we interact with new civilizations. The new treaty established Earth as a full member of the hegemony, with the same rights as founding worlds. Human representatives would serve on all major councils. Earth would share some technology, but maintain control of its resources and military. Most significantly, the practice of forced integration would end throughout the galaxy. It won't be easy, Dr. Hyun whispered to Park as they watched dozens of alien representatives sign the treaty. Some of these species have been part of the hierarchy for thousands of years. Change doesn't happen overnight. No, Park agreed, but it started, and we'll be there to help guide it. Later, walking through the alien capital city with its towering crystal spires and gravity-defying architecture, Park found herself reflecting on the extraordinary journey. Just 1 year earlier, she had been monitoring deep space communications, never imagining that humans would soon reshape galactic politics. A young alien approached, looking nervous. "Captain Park, I'm a student of interspecies relations. May I ask why humans were able to do what no other species could? Why didn't you submit like everyone else?" Park thought for a moment before answering. "Because throughout our history, humans have always valued one thing above all others: freedom. We've fought countless wars among ourselves over it. We've written poems and songs about it. It's in our DNA to resist control by others, no matter how powerful they might be." As evening fell on the alien world, with its 3 moons rising in the purple sky, messages traveled across the galaxy, news of the historic treaty and the small, seemingly insignificant planet that had changed everything. On hundreds of worlds, beings looked up at their night skies with new hope, inspired by the species that had said access denied to an empire, and in doing so, transformed it forever. On Earth, children played in parks that might have become landing zones for conquerors. Instead, they pointed excitedly at the first hegemony cultural exchange ships, bringing visitors who came not to rule, but to learn and share. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not by conquest or submission, but by standing firm in defense of its freedom and offering that same freedom to others.